Hi, I'm Neil of Team Teacher, teaching, living and raising a family in China. Today we're looking at a PowerPoint lesson walkthrough for adjectives. Let's check it out. This lesson is for a Chinese public primary school. If you're using it for a different setting, I'd highly suggest that you may think about changing things up. First slide, always a rule slide, so we can go over this as a class together, do some TPR, and remind the students if they follow the rules, we get to watch that funny video. And then my next slide will always be to ask them about, the day, see if I can get them to elicit, is it good morning, good afternoon, etc. And we're looking at adjectives today. We're kind of looking at two parts. One is opposites and the other is physical description. But first I really like to focus on opposites because it's a key word for the first part of this PowerPoint lesson. With opposites, I give non-adjective opposites to kind of give them an idea of what I mean by opposites. So I will say boy opposite girl, black opposite white, up opposite down, open opposite close. And I'll see if I can elicit any opposites from students, but the idea is to basically get them thinking about opposites of different things, so we'll be able to easily transfer this into adjectives. So each adjective that I introduce, I also introduce its opposite. So when I introduce these as well, I also want to be doing lots of TPR and lots of demonstrating. So when I say small, I go small. When I say big, I go big. And I do this for all different adjectives that I go through. And I'll also see if I can get students to identify who in the class, for example, is short and who is tall. And the more that I can go through these different adjectives and I can get them connecting it to themselves and also getting them to see the relationship between the opposites and how it works, the more I feel like they'll remember this. As this was the presentation and part of the class and we do lots of drilling, it's quite a big part, but you can try and make it as fun as you can. And once we get through this, we'll go straight into a song about opposites. Back from the song, we're looking at opposite adjectives and I'm going to try and test them, see if they can actually remember the words of what the opposite of stuff is. So the opposite of big, small, blah blah blah. And then after testing them on that, we'll go into another opposite song where they can continue to practice. Back from the song, we're looking at a story. So this story I've actually adapted, so it's also testing them on what they know of as the opposites. So we read the story together, but then one student will have to answer this cat is, and see if I can get a student to tell me what the opposite of big is. It's a story comprehension question amalgamation, but it works quite well and the cats are cute and funny. So after this long story time, we then go and we sing another adjective song. Back from the adjective song, we're actually going into some questions where we're starting to look more at using these adjectives we've learned of opposites and going into more physical description usage. So this one is a fun game where students have to read, and I'll also read out these sentences, and they have to identify which is this person that's been described. So he's a boy, he is tall, he is thin, and then you click on the picture and you got the bad guy. After that description, we go into another song. Back from the song, now we're going to be using physical description in a more open setting. So I have lots of famous Disney characters, cartoon characters, and what students have to do is they have to describe this particular character. So you can say he or she's young, old, fat, short, and you know, they can group them together, and it's up to them. They've got more of a free reign. And at this point, I kind of give it over to the class. I'll have someone come up, and then they can either describe themselves or they can describe their friend. Normally I have them come up in pairs, or they can just pick someone random from the class, and then we'll just keep rotating. And normally it gets quite funny because, you know, obviously you always like to say that this, you know, student's old when he's not, and stuff like that. But they really enjoy that part. If the energy gets low, we'll do another song by Katy Perry, but we'll do the Sesame Street edition, which is a little simpler, and they really just focus on the opposites